everyone, it's Sharonda from Payroll Waits, and today I'm going to be reviewing Westworld Season 3, Episode 2, The Winter Line. So I'm going to split this up into two different parts. So we're really going to focus on Bernard and then also to Maeve. And I'm going to save Maeve for last because that's where the bulk of this episode happens. So we saw at the end of episode 1 that Bernard was on his way to find an old friend. He is on the, he's basically trying to find Maeve. His main goal is he wants to stop Dolores. He does not know what she is exactly up to. However, he knows that he cannot stop Dolores alone. So he has to find Maeve because she is the only one that is powerful enough to be able to bring a stop to Dolores. And so that is his mission. And so we see that he is traveling to Westworld. So he's traveling to the original Westworld that we all know. And so when the man is basically taking him through the East China Sea, and I remember him saying that, you know, I remember when these waters were filled, they were red from all of the blood. And so basically going back to just a few months prior when they had the big incident, which what happened at the season finale of season 2. So we're still showing that these incidents that happened at the end of season 2, they're still very fresh. Everyone still remembers everything that has happened. And so he goes to Westworld, and so he's going back kind of to his lair where he did all of his research, and so he's trying to find a way to locate Maeve. But in the midst of all of this, he runs into Stubbs, and he sees kind of all of his Bernard sleeves. We see that they've all been killed in some way, shape, or form, and then he finds Stubbs, who has like a gunshot, and he looks dead, but when he goes to grab Stubbs, he sees that Stubbs actually comes back to life, and he's kind of moving. And I really want to give props to Hemsworth, who plays Ashley Stubbs. All of that was done by him. And so the way that they mimic the characteristics of being kind of these robots, which we find out we pretty much thought that Stubbs was a host, but it was pretty much confirmed for us through Bernard's point of view because he didn't know that Stubbs was always a host, but his main program was to make sure that Bernard was safe. And so when he realized that Bernard left Westworld, that is when he tried to kill himself. However, he missed kind of his stack. And so that's why he was still alive, sort of say. And so Bernard ends up fixing him. And so then he asked him like, how are you alive? And he was like, boy, what do you think? He didn't say it like that, but that's what we were all thinking. Like, and he was like, you're one of them. And I was like, excuse me, sir, I think you're included in them as well. And he was like, you're one of us. And I was like, thank you for that clarification, Bernard. Cause sometimes I'd be thinking you'd be forgetting who you are and where you come from. So they're having this conversation. And so, you know, Stubbs is trying to figure out, what are you doing here? Okay, sir, because if you're here, that means that I can't get on with my life or ending my so-called life because you up here in Westworld. And the whole point was to get you out of Westworld. So I'm confused as to why I'm seeing you right now. So he basically tells him like, hey, Dolores is up to something. I do not know what she is up to. However, we need to find Maeve because Maeve is the only one that will be able to help us. And so he says that he needs to get back into the system to be able to locate Maeve, but also to try to figure out what happened to him. And so things get really interesting as they kind of go back into the labs of, you know, where they get the hosts together and everything with the storylines. We see them go back and we see a little nod to Game of Thrones. So I thought it was cool when Bernard hacks into the system, we see that they're walking by and they walk by two of the technicians who happen to be the creators of Westworld, when he basically says like, hey, we're going to sell this dragon for parts. So it's very like, and that kind of ties into like the winter line, like winter is coming, Game of Thrones, even though we still mad about Game of Thrones, but it was nice seeing the dragon at least. I was like, please don't cut up the dragon, but how fitting would it be for the creators who basically tore apart this franchise of Game of Thrones to be on this episode, tearing apart the dragon to make a little bit of extra money. Man, that's like a lot about what's happening in the real world with them. But we see past that, Bernard's going to the system, and so then some of the security guards recognize Stubbs and like, hey, like, where have you been? And then they realize it's Bernard, and it's like, hold up, wait a minute. And then Stubbs put in some work, okay? He took a little gunshot, but it's okay. He's just a host. He ain't really dead. He ain't really hurt. So he put in some work trying to protect him, and I thought it was funny the whole time when we have this medieval player. He's playing the theme song of Westworld, but he's like playing it like a little medieval, little spin, a little twang up on that. So I thought that whole sequence, it was just so cool to watch with the Game of Thrones references, kind of like cross-pathing other HBO shows. Thought it was super cool. I hope we get to see like a little bit more of that. but I doubt it. But I guess it was fun while it lasted for this episode. But while Bernard is in the system, he sees that Charlotte, he goes back to when Charlotte changed the coordinates, and then when she shoots him, she says she's sorry, and so he knows that she's a part of this, but he also tells Stubbs that, hey, Dolores hacked into a couple of the previous guest information where we see Liam, where we see all of the people who Dolores was tracking down in the first episode. He knows that this is going to lead to what Dolores' overall plan is, and so he tells Stubbs, we need to start there. But then Stubbs started picking out the gun, like, okay, well, when you get back, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot myself. And I was like, sir, he said he got work to do. He didn't say he said he needed your help. He was like, freeze all functions, and he reprogrammed Stubbs to basically protect Bernard at all costs. Brought him back online, and Stubbs was like, well, you could have just said you needed my help. I mean, didn't he tell you a whole 15 minutes prior in the episode that he needed your help and you were still about to put a bullet in your stack? I just don't understand, Stubbs. We need you here with us to protect us, to help us. So I'm happy that Stubbs is putting in work. He has a little bit more to do. I'm kind of happy to see this codependent programming of him being responsible for the fate of Bernard and making sure that he's protected, which lets me know that he's going to have a lot more to do in the course of this season. And also too, that we get to see a lot more of Charlotte in next week's episode, because he knows that Charlotte has something to do with Dolores' plan. He just doesn't know what it is. But okay, the moment that we were all waiting for after the end, the little tease that they gave us at the end of the season 3 premiere, where we see Maeve wake up and she's in Westworld, not Westworld, she's in Warworld, which is another version of Westworld, or is it? That's what we're going to talk about. So Maeve wakes up. We see the guy who was tied up, and then someone comes in, and we think like Maeve is about to shoot him. But I was like, hey, Hector, how you doing, friend? And then I was like, hold up, but is this Hector? Because we're in a whole nother world. But Maeve got her boo thing back. She's in the prayer like, okay, let's go. But I was like, how did they get past like all the soldiers in the courtyard who's basically trying to figure out who stole their plans? But it's Hector, aka, what is his name? Ettore. He basically trying to figure out who stole the plans. It's really him. Somehow they make it all the way past all these people without being seen walking. And then I was like, why y'all give her heels to run in? Even she was like, y'all couldn't give me no better shoes to like plan my escape. I was just like, I'm with you, Maeve, but you looking good. Why you trying to get free, girl? So we see that it ends up they get to this plane, but then they end up getting shot, because then he calls her Isabella and she realizes that this is not the Hector that she knows. He has no idea that they're part of this construct, and it's just so sad when she has to watch him die again. I was like, Lord, how many times she got to watch Hector die in the course of all these seasons? And my just heart went out to her, especially when she had to explain what was going on, that they're not at where they're really at. It just really broke my heart. But when we see that she wakes up, we see a couple of old friends, and I was just like, hold up, how y'all survive? I thought all of y'all was dead, especially when Lee popped up in here. And I just miss Maeve and all of her little petty one-liners when the soldiers come in as Maeve's trying to figure out what's going on. And then she basically tells him, when she says, Porter, you're a bit thick, aren't you? I was just like, I just miss your pettiness. I miss your shade, Maeve. I just missed you so much. I just absolutely love when the episodes focus around Maeve. She's one of the best characters in this entire series. And so we see that Lee walks in. He kind of stops everything from happening. I was just like, Lee, you alive? And she was looking like, Lee, how are you alive? And so he basically tells her like, hey, they shot me a whole bunch of times, but the bullets missed my heart. So I was able to survive. But we see that he's walking on a cane, and he basically tells her like, hey, she was like, why are you still working here? And I was like, right. Like, I don't know what company got that many good benefits and that good of pay to make you come back to work when you almost lost your life, sir. Like, let's think about these decisions that you are making. So he explains to her like, hey, like I have to rewrite your happy ending, right? And so he tells her that the reason why he chose to be the head narrator of Warworld is because this is close to the forge where we saw her daughter and all of the other hosts go. And so she's still trying to find her daughter, and he wants to right his wrongs. And so basically he plans an escape. And so she goes back in this loop. And I was like, Lord, if I got to watch this loop for 6 whole more episodes, I'm going to lose it, okay? And so during the course of all of this, we see that he leads her into all these control rooms, and she was just like, wait a minute, like I've never been here before. And then he started asking her all these questions. I was like, Lord, they did this on purpose. Like, are they trying to figure out what actually happened? Or are they trying to figure out like where the other hosts are? Like what is going on? And I was like, I do not think that this is Lee. And so especially when Lee kisses her, I was like, y'all did not have a romantic relationship at all. And even she says like, the only reason that Lee helped me is because it was the right thing to do, not because he wanted to be with me. And so that was the telling sign that let her know that this is not the Lee that she has known. And then even her trying to explain to Lee that he is a part of a construct and it's not him, it's just the memories of him. She realizes that not only is he not real, but everyone around her is not real. We start to see the glitches happen. We start to see reality kind of fade away. And so now Maeve has to figure out, where is she? Basically, what is happening, what are they trying to do, and how she can basically escape. And so she comes up with a fun plan. When your computer overloads over processes, it stalls out. And so she basically says that she's going to overwork the system. And so we see her kind of going through another loop, and she's figuring out ways to basically make the program think too hard to where it breaks and to where she could find her way out of the system. And one of my favorite lines when she was like going through the little coding and stuff, after she overloaded everything, she was like, did they not know who they were dealing with? And I was like, right, Maeve, tell the people who they're dealing with, Maeve. You ain't just no regular host. Okay, you're the host of all of the hosts. Stop it. You better, when you come at my girl, you better come at her correct, okay? And they did not come at her correct because she basically, we keep seeing these re-evolving theme, is these programs are designed by humans. There's a lazy component. There are corners that are always cut. And the funny thing is you guys always try to use this technology against us, but however, you as humans have your limits, and that's why you will never be better or superior than where we are. And this is why we can always outthink you. And so we keep seeing this reoccurring theme, especially with Dolores saying the gods are coming back. And so I thought that it was pretty interesting how even from Dolores's point of Maeve's point of view, her and Dolores's ideals kind of align. It's just the way that they go about doing things that is totally different. So we see that she ends up overloading the system. And I really want to give a shout out this episode to the VFX team. So the fact that how they staged everything to where everything basically paused when she basically overloaded the system, and how they kind of had actors pause in positions to make it look as though the system has stalled. I thought that was so well done, so well thought out. And then we see that Maeve ends up hacking into the real world. She hacks into a robot. She locates where her stack is, and she basically she remotes in and steals her stack, gets out, and I was like, yeah, Robot Maeve, you better go ahead and get the real, not the real, but the host real Maeve, her little stack back. And then when they start shooting the little Robot Maeve, I said, Maeve, no, Maeve. And then the scientist sitting up here looking like, what? Why y'all just standing there? Like, why are you just looking to see what is happening with this robot? Obviously, you could tell something not right with this robot. I don't know why y'all was just standing there to be standing there. But then they shoot down Maeve, and then we see Maeve's little brain stack thing fall out of Robot Maeve's hand. I was just like, oh, heck no. They didn't got my girl Maeve again. My heart can't take this. I just got her back this episode. Why are you doing this to me? I do not understand. But yes, so we see that Maeve wakes up, and so it's kind of interesting how we keep seeing Maeve in these positions and where we saw her in the previous seasons. And a lot of the first episode and the second episode do a lot of callbacks to shots that we seen kind of when everything froze, back to when Dolores froze. But I love how just well shot everything is, the locations of everything. They filmed this episode in Spain. You can really tell that they've branched out to other parts of the world, and the episodes look absolutely beautiful. This episode is probably the most beautiful that I've seen, especially where we see Maeve wake up. When it's like, come on, Maeve, come downstairs. I said, Harpo, who telling Maeve to come on downstairs? And so we see Serac. I'm not going to try to say his first name because I don't never get nobody's names right in the first place. So I'm not even about to do all of that. So whatever. So he basically ends up telling her like, hey, we're at war. Not before she said, who the F are you? I was like, Maeve, I just love you so much. It's like you say the things that I'm thinking and the way that I'm thinking it, and you just say it. And I just appreciate you for that. And so he basically tells her like, hey, we're at war. And let me get to the gist of the things, because she's basically like, hey, what do you need me to do? And then he says, I need you to track down Dolores and kill her. We thought that you were the threat, but we realized that it is Dolores who was unaccounted for and who we did not realize is going to be a problem in his plans, which we do not know yet. And so basically she was like, hold up, boo-boo. She didn't say it like that, but I'm just saying this is what she meant to say. She was like, I thought You would have known if you would have studied me the way that you thought that you studied me. I don't do bidding for nobody but myself, okay? So what do I care? I don't understand. And then she tried to pull a little knife on him. She did it so cool too. I was like, girl, this is why I love you. But then he paused. I was like, damn, he didn't figure it out that she was about that life. He knew you was about that life. He didn't know you was about that life, but he had a plan that you could be about that life, and you showed him that you was about that life. And so he says, hey, I hope that the next time that we get the chance to talk, you know, that you can see that our paths, like, we're aligned, okay? That we're on the same side, and I need you to understand this. And so then essentially, the episode goes off. And so can I say that Maeve looked beautiful, even in the costumes that she had for Warworld, and also too when she makes up, when he was like, I couldn't figure out, you know, what your taste would be. And I was like, look, you got my girl sitting up here looking fly from head to toe. I was like, yes, Maeve, you better slay. And no matter what world you are, you in a real world now, girl, you are still slaying everybody, okay? Yes. But overall, I enjoyed this episode a lot better than I did the first episode. I think that even though it was a little bit confusing at first, but what episode of Westworld is not confusing? I think that it was a little bit more streamlined, more straight to the point, where we know what is happening. And then I think that we get a little bit more cohesiveness when we see Bernard and Maeve's storylines. I just think that the episodes just work a little bit better with Maeve, especially with her wit, just the dialogue that they give to her, just how she commands attention. It just makes you really want to focus in and figure out what is happening with her. And I think that them kind of steering this season so far as it's going to end up being this battle between Maeve and Dolores. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm Team Maeve. I don't know if y'all needed to like have me just state that out loud for you guys, but I'm always going to be Team Maeve, ride or die, okay? Ride or die. Hopefully I don't die. Hopefully Maeve don't die, but I'm just saying ride or die. But I really like where they're going with this season. I like that they're not taking forever to drag everything on. I was like, Lord, if I gotta go through another loop of Maeve after this episode, we riot, okay? Because I don't have time. We got 6 more episodes left. We don't need none of those filler episodes that we had in season 2. I like that they're getting straight to the point and they're actually answering questions. And then in next week's episode, it seems that we're gonna have a lot of questions answered in regards to who is in Charlotte's body. What is happening with Charlotte? What happened kind of from the end of the season finale to where we are now in season 3? And I hope that they kind of keep the more cohesive storyline going. I think things get a little jumbled up when we get to Dolores because we really don't know what Dolores' intentions are. And I think that's what makes it even more confusing than what a typical episode of Westworld is. But for me, out of these 2 episodes, I love this episode the best. Maybe because Maeve is just such a great character that I love to continue to explore as the episodes continue to go on through the seasons. But yeah, like once again, beautiful costuming, beautiful set designs, the VF effects off the charts, just beautifully shot. Very well done. Just a great episode. I really enjoyed this episode. Let me say it one more time in case you didn't understand. I really enjoyed this episode. So those are pretty much my thoughts on Westworld Season 3, Episode 2, The Winter Line. As always, my name is Sharana from Pair Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.